It started with the whispers. When David and Lisa moved into the old countryside house, they were eager for a fresh start. The previous owners had left suddenly, but the price was too good to pass up. The house was massive, standing alone amidst acres of silent, shadowy woods. The first night was uneventful. The second night, however, Lisa woke up to a strange whispering sound coming from the hallway. She shook David awake. "Do you hear that?" David listened, but all he could hear was the wind. "Just your imagination, babe," he mumbled before turning over. The following nights were different. The whispers grew louder. They weren't words, just a soft, breathy murmur coming from the darkened hallways and empty rooms. Lisa swore she heard her name among them. Then came the tapping. Late at night, rhythmic taps echoed through the walls. Light, deliberate, as if someone were knocking from the inside. David, skeptical at first, searched the house with a baseball bat but found nothing. One night, Lisa recorded the sounds on her phone. The next morning, when she played it back, the whispers were clearer. And this time, there were voices. "Get out." David's blood ran cold. "It has to be interference or some old house noises," he insisted, though his hands trembled. That evening, they found the basement door open. They never used the basement. It was cold, damp, and filled with old furniture left by previous owners. But now, the door creaked on its hinges, swinging ever so slightly. Lisa pointed a flashlight down the stairs. The beam cut through the darkness, revealing something that hadn't been there before. Small, child-sized footprints in the dust. They led to an old wooden wardrobe in the corner. Heart pounding, David approached and pulled the doors open. Inside was a collection of dusty toys and dolls, their glass eyes staring blankly. But the worst part was the note. Yellowed with age, pinned to the back. "Don't play with her. Don't answer her. Don't listen to the whispers." Lisa's breath hitched as something small scurried past their feet. They ran upstairs, slamming the basement door behind them. That night, Lisa woke up to a presence in the room. A faint outline of a child stood by their bed, its head tilted at an unnatural angle. The air smelled of mildew and rot. She couldn't move, paralyzed in fear. The whispering was in her ear now, closer than ever. "Why did you open the door?" Lisa screamed, jolting David awake. The figure was gone, but the smell lingered. They packed their things, ready to leave, but the house had other plans. The doors wouldn't open. The windows refused to break. The whispers turned into laughter, high-pitched, childlike giggles coming from all around them. The lights flickered, and the basement door creaked open on its own. And then they saw her. A little girl, pale, dressed in a tattered nightgown, stood at the top of the stairs, her black eyes locked onto Lisa's. "You let me out," she whispered, her voice overlapping itself like a chorus of voices. "Now I can play." The lights went out completely. The next morning, the real estate agent arrived for a routine check. The house stood silent, empty, but the basement door was open. And if you listened closely, you could hear the whispers again. Giggling, calling out, waiting for the next ones to move in. Ethan had been driving for hours, exhaustion weighing heavy on his eyes, when he spotted a flickering neon sign. Oak Ridge Motel, vacancy. With a sigh of relief, he pulled into the near-empty parking lot and walked into the dimly lit lobby. The clerk, an old man with sunken eyes, barely looked up as he handed Ethan the key. "Room 404, he muttered. "No refunds, no switching rooms." Something about his tone made Ethan pause, but he was too tired to argue. He took the key and dragged his bags down the eerily silent corridor. The air was thick, musty, as if the walls held onto something long forgotten. The moment he stepped inside, the room felt wrong. The air was icy despite the humid summer night. The bedspread was faded, and the TV buzzed with static before switching off on its own. Shrugging it off, Ethan collapsed onto the bed, desperate for rest. At precisely 3:04 a.m., the whispers began. A faint murmur just outside the bathroom door. Ethan sat up, his heart pounding. He wasn't alone. The door creaked open slowly, revealing nothing but darkness. Then, the light flickered, and a figure flashed in the mirror. A woman, gaunt and hollow-eyed, her mouth twisted in a silent scream. Ethan scrambled backward, but the moment he blinked, she was gone. His breath came in ragged gasps. Just my imagination, he told himself. But deep down, he knew better. Then came the knocks. Loud, insistent pounding against the walls, the door, even the window, though he was on the 4th floor. He grabbed his phone, but there was no signal. The digital clock on the nightstand flickered wildly before stopping at 4:04. The air grew heavy, and the room felt smaller, pressing in on him. A guttural whisper slid into his ear. "You shouldn't be here." Ethan bolted for the door, but it wouldn't budge. He twisted the knob frantically as the bathroom light exploded behind him. The mirror shattered, and in its reflection, he saw them, dozens of figures, their hollow eyes fixed on him, their mouths moving in silent pleas. The closet door burst open, revealing a dark void deeper than any shadow. A skeletal hand reached out, grasping at the air. Ethan screamed, throwing himself against the door one last time. This time, it gave way. He stumbled into the hallway, gasping. But the motel wasn't the same. The walls stretched endlessly, lined with identical doors, each numbered 4:04. The old man's voice echoed from somewhere unseen. "You checked in. You can't check out." The whispers swelled, laughter bubbling through the suffocating air. Shadows swarmed toward him, pulling him back into the room. The door slammed shut behind him, the neon motel sign outside flickering one final time before it, too, went dark. The next morning, the clerk sat at the front desk, waiting for the next weary traveler to arrive. The key for room 404 was back on the hook,